everyone, I'm Lauren and welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing the Tell Me About It tag. I first watched this on Nerea's YouTube channel, the Bibliothek. I will leave a link to it up here or down below, probably both places, so you can go and watch that video and also check her out because her videos are great and I absolutely love them. So this is a booktube tag. I haven't been tagged to do it, but I kind of like to. I've not really done many booktube videos, know how to do it, so I've got all the questions on my phone. So let's begin. So the first question is, which genres are the ones that you tend to pick up? So for me personally, my favourite genres are fantasy, historical fiction, young adult fantasy, a bit of science fiction as well. I think mainly it's more fantasy based. Ever since I was a kid I've been reading my mum's books. She's actually kind of like pushed me. I said pushed on me. She did not push me books on me. But I remember being 9 and trying to read The Colour of Magic by Terry Pratchett, and I wondered why I couldn't get into it, and then realised a few years ago just how young I was when I was trying to read this book. I think I did actually read it for the first time when I was about 12 though, so not many years difference, but fantasy's just been a big huge part of my life. Then I moved on to historical fiction again, my mum's books, picked them up, read through them, and it's just the areas that I've really sort of loved and gotten into. Okay, so question 2, which genres are the ones you'll pick up but aren't your favourites? I do pick up thrillers and whodunits quite a lot. I wouldn't say they're my absolute favourites, but I do pick them up. I've read a couple that I've really liked. So there was, which one was it? It got made into a TV show with Reese Witherspoon. I think it's Big Little Lies. I really loved that. I read that when it came out a couple of years ago. That was really good. Good Me, Bad Me. I guess that was more like YA thriller. Read that as part of a book club. It was a very strange one. I'm not sure if I'd have picked it up for me personally just to read. So yeah, I do occasionally pick up thrillers and sort of crime books, but it's not my go-to. I've got a couple on my shelves, but that's about it. Question 3. Which genres are the ones you'll never pick up, or maybe just a few times a year? I don't know, maybe erotica? I don't really buy that. Romance books in general. I've got a couple of chick lits, mainly sort of like Giovanna Fletcher. I've got some Marianne Keyes, but again, it's not something that I usually go to. If I'm going to a bookstore, like Waterstones or something like that, like romance and chick books, just chick flicks, I don't really know what they're called. It's not something that I usually go to. The first shelves that I go to are fantasy and sci-fi. I just run straight there and I'm like, oh, the books, and I'm not allowed in bookstores a lot anymore, okay? Question 4. Which author do you feel you'll always connect with? So that can be up to my interpretation, so writing style, plot, anything. I don't know, that's quite tricky. I've definitely not thought these answers in advance. I'm not sure. I am actually really stuck for that one. I mean, if you're going to say which books do you think I'll always read and be drawn into, there's Terry Pratchett, Raymond Feist, Sharon Penman. I think those are 3 of my favourite authors. And every time I read them I'm just so engrossed in them. I love the writing style of each of those. I feel like there's just something within these stories that pulls me in and I just don't want to get out of there. So I would say probably those 3. I'm not sure if I'd narrow it down any further, but those are the 3 that I would definitely go into. Okay, so question 5. Which author of one of your favourite genres do you struggle to connect with? Or that you can't connect with? Oh, definitely this one, Philippa Gregory. I cannot stand her historical fiction. I have read 2 of her books. I think I've mentioned this before. They got gifted to me as birthday presents. I read them, didn't like them, and they're now currently with my local library. I kept them for years, but I just can't get into them. I didn't like the way she'd written that area. I don't know if it's because I'd already read about the same subject from one of my favourite authors from the genre, Sharon Penman, and I just didn't like the way Philippa did it. I have read other books by other authors from the same time period, which I did enjoy, so I think for me Philippa Gregory is just a historical fiction writer that I will never get on with, and I just refuse to read her books. I think my mum's got a couple that I might borrow just to see if it was those two in particular. So it was the Red Queen and the White Queen that I read, but I think my mum's got the other Berlin Girl, so I might try and read those and see if I feel like they're any better. But from reading these two already, I just couldn't get on with it at all, and they're in the library now for other people to enjoy. Question 6. Which book or books do you feel are overhyped? Ooh, that's interesting. Don't know. What books are overhyped that I've read? I'm trying to think of really popular books. Oh, I've got one. The Girl on the Train is awful. I absolutely couldn't stand that book. I think I actually bought that one because I thought I'd enjoy it. I don't think that was a book club one. And I just, none of the characters were sympathetic. We'd got an unreliable narrator, but to a point where I kind of wanted to throttle her. I just couldn't stand the narrator in the book. I didn't like any of the characters. I didn't like the plot. I thought it was really crap. I told my mum to read it so she could understand the crapness of the book and sort of like be on the level with me, because everyone else was talking about how amazing it was. I didn't get it. I did not see the hype at all with that book. And I don't understand the hype around it. I just don't get it at all. It's just a book that, honestly, I don't know. I felt like I've wasted my time reading it. Sometimes I'm tempted to watch the film just to see if they were able to actually pull a decent story together from it. Girl on a Train, without a doubt, was definitely overhyped. I do not understand where the hype came from for that book. Really sorry if you liked that book, by the way, but it's definitely not one for me. Question 7, which is also the last question. Which book or books do you feel are underrated? So I'm just going to go with one of my favourite authors who you see in bookstores, but I don't know that many people who talk about it. I think this is because it's quite an old series, but it's one of the authors I mentioned earlier, Raymond Feist. So he has written, I want to say 20 books. It might be 25. It's between 20 to 25 books for one series. It's split up into mini sagas and mini trilogies, but it's all encompassing one universe, one world, and oh my god, the world building, the character development, the actual characters. You've got morally grey, you've got people who are just dicks, you've got real life stuff happening. So there's so much stuff where it's, this character's been kicked in the teeth and the life just kicks them down again, and it's just so, it just feels so real. I read these when I was quite young. I've just remembered I had to do, fun fact, when I did my IT classes at school, in my secondary school, one of the classes was building your own website using Microsoft Publisher, and I made a fan website for Raymond Feist. I'm trying to remember if I was in year 7 or in year 8, so I was either 11 to 12 or 12 to 13. And I'd already read a few of these books, otherwise I wouldn't have been making this website. Yeah, I got into adult fantasy really young. Definitely underrated. I would definitely recommend them to everyone. The Rift War saga is the part that starts it all. I think the first one's called Magician, but I think he's got 2 books called Magician, so you want the one that was like published back in the 80s. It deals with magic, there's dragons, there's elves, but in ways that you wouldn't expect them to be there. It's different. It's not your usual sort of magic or elves. I love the way that they're all connected, and honestly, it's just so good, and it's so underrated because no one's ever talking about them. So if there's one thing I can do with BookTube, it would be to get people to read Raymond Feist. I'm gonna calm down because your girl's got a lot of emotions about these. Yeah, so I've never actually bought a book myself. They're all my mum's. I have read, I think, the first 10 twice, because there is a lot of them. One character in it that I absolutely love, and is like my first literary crush, love. It's just so beautiful. But yeah, definitely go and read the Raymond Feist books. I really, really recommend them, especially if you like really good world building. I don't know what author I can say they're similar to. Okay, so the main world that it's based on is called Midkemia, and it's a very sort of medieval, I'd say medieval European base. Kings, queens, wars, battles, that sort of stuff. However, as I said, the first saga is called the Rift War Saga, which is about a group of people from a different world who have managed to come to Midkemia via a rift in time and space. They've been able to make rift portals or something, I can't remember the exact name, but I would call them rift portals. The people who come across are, I'm going to say, Japanese inspired. I think it's Japanese. That is the impression I've always had. I guess in a way, I'd say Game of Thrones style a little, with the battles and the medieval European setting and the way things are. But it's not, because there's a lot of fantasy to it as well. So Game of Thrones' main fantasy is the dragons and Azor Ahai and R'hllor, the light, god of light, and it doesn't really go into it as much. It's kind of like, those are like the periphery fantasy stuff. It's not really fantasy. I mean, it is, but it's not. Whereas this has definitely got more grounding in like the magic of the worlds and dragons and the elves, and oh, I just love it. Please read it. If you do read it, or if you have read any Raymond Fives, please let me know so that I can fangirl with you, because I absolutely love it. And this is probably the longest answer for this question, but I've just gone on to a massive tangent of why Raymond Fives is amazing. And I want to read all his books again, but my mum's got them. I might actually have to go out and buy some. So if my bookshelf suddenly becomes like really full and I need to buy, I'm going to need a full bookshelf just for Raymond Fives if I was to buy all his books, is what I'm saying. But I'm tempted. Definitely the most underrated books and book series and all for Raymond Fives. Please go out and read them if you can. So because I kind of tagged on to the end of this booktube tag without being tagged, I'm not going to tag anyone else. If you really like this style of thing and you want to let other people know what sort of books you're into, feel free to do it. I'm going to put all the questions down below so that you have got them if you want to do it. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I've not done a tag video in years. I know I wasn't tagged, but I have really enjoyed it. So yeah, if you want to do it, feel free to do it. I'm not going to tag anyone. I'm tagging everyone. I'm tagging anyone who wants to do it. But yeah, so if you liked this video as well, don't forget to give it a like. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. There's new videos every single Sunday at 4 PM. I am gonna go and try and find some Raymond Fives books to read, and I shall see you all next time. Bye!